back with a new weird thing, and I'm calling it my Storytime Perfumes. Now this is one where I take the titles of a perfume and create a story. I just like doing the story time because it gives a variety of perfumes that normally wouldn't be lumped together. You know what I mean? Because it's not like your favorite ambers or your top 10 sexy or something like that. These all go by their names, and that's what put them in this list. So let me tell you the story, and then we'll get into the reviews. Once upon a time, there was a lovely lady that lived in Los Angeles named Miranda. But Miranda, while very successful in her career, had been very unsuccessful at love. She hadn't met anybody that she'd want to fully give herself to for that very first time. So when she got a new promotion and job in New York City, she jumped at the chance for a whole new start in a new place. When she got to New York City, she decided, I am not going to hold off anymore. The first person that really trips my trigger, I am going to go for it. As she explored her new magical city, she had a moment in Manhattan where she finally was able to meet a Renaissance man. This man was not only handsome, he was kind, he was generous, he seemed truly interested in what she had to say and what she did. She thought, this is the guy. This is the one. So when he invited her to go have cocktails at this gorgeous penthouse bar, she jumped at the chance. One single malt after another, and both of them were really getting into each other. They enjoyed the conversation, they enjoyed the chemistry, and they enjoyed the anticipation of what may be to come. They both left that bar in a velvet haze as they got into the cab and drove to his apartment. Though he hadn't said anything directly, she knew her future held unknown pleasures, one she had wanted to experience for a long time and never had. It wasn't long before those pleasures became known to her for the very first time, and she had an orgasmo. Hours of hot, thick, sweaty lovemaking later, she was laying there panting, just thinking, oh, I waited too long for this, and I do not miss my lost cherry one little bit. She turned and looked next to her, and her no-tell lover was laying there with a look of bliss, awe, and admiration that she had never seen on a face before. She got up and started getting dressed. Suddenly he sat up in bed and said, "Where are you going?" And she said, "I'm leaving." He said, "But I didn't even get your name. Will I ever see you again?" She said, "No, not likely." We both got what we needed from this encounter. Let's just leave it at that. She finished getting dressed, collected all of her belongings, and headed to the door. Just before she got there, she heard him mumble, "I've just met a sex goddess. And now she's walked out of my life." She closes the door behind her, goes down the stairs, out the door, and into the city. When she gets a block or two away, she can't help herself. She grins from ear to ear, stands there in the middle of an intersection, and yells, "I love New York!" The end. So the first perfume in the story is by Esse Strikes the Notes, and that's Miranda. And look at this blue glass bottle. Oh! And then the weird phallic kind of sex toy looking top. It's kind of a weird juxtaposition, but it works. And this is dark chocolate, star anise, licorice rose, lily of the valley, heliotrope, sandalwood, jasmine, sugar, vanilla, ambergris, powdery notes and musk. Oh. So I don't get a lot of dark chocolate or anything with this. For me, this is all about the star anise and the florals, specifically the rose. The rose is pretty heavy in this. The more I wear it, the more I realize that. Now, I've done a review on this, but I don't know if you guys are like me, but I'll wear a perfume for a few weeks, walk away from it, come back to it a few weeks later, a few months later, and I will get different aspects of it that I didn't get the first, 20 times I wore it. And that's what this one is. I just adore it. I really want to explore more of this house. And it adds this really interesting aspect to the rose and the star anise. And the ambergris doesn't add a saltiness to it by any means. The musk isn't an animalic musk or a super clean musk or anything. It just adds this hint of tartness to it. To the star anise and especially that rose, because the rose starts off to me really creamy and sweet, and then when some of those base notes kick in, like the ambergris and the musk and the sugar. Now, sugar for me is a note that doesn't smell just blatantly sweet. There's a hint of tart to it. In my experience, I don't know if that's your experience, but in mine, every perfume, Hilde Soliani has done that before, used sugar, and there's a hint of tart in there that's very specific to this sugar smell. So, and I adore it. Oh. And even though it's got like heliotrope and powdery notes in there and things like that, it's not a powdery perfume to me. It's still pretty moist kind of smelling, Oh, a very frag head, not too much machismo in their personality kind of a guy might enjoy wearing this, but this is more, I bet they would enjoy if they're with somebody that's feminine, that they would enjoy that on them. Wow, could I have made that a little more convoluted? For dudes, it's a little on the feminine side. Might like it on their significant other. There. How is that? A little more succinct. So, and performance is really good on this too. Next. So the next one in the story is the second perfume after Jezebel that I discovered from the house of Anka Kus. And this is A Moment in Manhattan. Now, I don't know what's going on, but this was sealed. It's from Lucky Scent, but every bottle I've seen actually has a picture on it of the Manhattan skyline with fancy A Moment in Manhattan writing. And mine just came like this, right out of the box, just like that. So totally full. So I don't think it was a tester. I don't know, but I wish it came with the picture because I like the picture. But whatever. So, oh my God. Oh, I'm going to put some on. I don't have anything on, so. Oh, so this has a really, for me, intense saffron lavender kind of an opening. Really pretty intensely. But that goes away after a while and some of the other notes come in. Oh, so this is bitter orange, musk, blueberry, lavender, vanilla, saffron, musk, ambergris, sea notes, castoreum, cinnamon, sandalwood, cypress, labdanum, woody notes, and benzoin. I'm going to be doing an in-depth review on this, so I'm going to not go in too much detail. This is very unisex. It starts off very, like I said, that lavender saffron kind of leathery smell to it with a hint of sweet tartness. But then the dry down happens and it gets sweeter, gets a little fruity, it gets a little warmer, it gets super interesting, and I'm wackadoo over it. Oh my God, I love this stuff. Anyway, I'll talk more about it later. And so that's A Moment in Manhattan by Anka Kus. Next. Oh, the next one is by Chris Collins, and that's Renaissance Man. Wow, wow, wow. This is one of the first truly male aquatic perfumes that I have fallen in love with. And not even for my husband, but for me. I love wearing this because it's aquatic and there's some cinnamon in there and there's sweetness from the honey. So this is sea notes and ginger and bergamot, pink pepper, honey, sage, cedar, cinnamon, tobacco, sandalwood, leather, and tonka. At the top, it's sweet, aquatic with some spices in there. And the cinnamon plays hide and seek. Sometimes I wear it, I can't hardly smell it at all. And other times it blends so well with that aquatic note that it just blows my mind. I don't get a lot of ginger or anything from it, but with the dry down, I get more of the warmth, the tobacco, the sandalwood, kind of a earthy smell. Oh my God. And to me, it gets a little sweeter in the dry down. So, oh, it's wonderful. So that's Chris Collins, Renaissance Man. Next one is one of my favorite Kilians. Oh, and that's single malt. Man, this is good stuff. This is plum, wheat, vanilla, tolu balsam, and cedar. And this is all, I'm going off of Fragrantica for just convenience sake. So I'm not sure exactly if all of the notes are perfectly accurate or if they're interpreted. So this is, you would think it would smell boozier than what it does, but it doesn't. It's almost like single malt candy or something. Oh, it's so good. Ah, it is boozy, but it's also gourmand at the same time. And so both of them are pretty equal to me. And so it never smells too boozy, never smells too sweet or gourmandy. It is a perfect union of the both. And I just love it. I love it. I've done a review on this too. So very unisex, gorgeous, lovely, yummy stuff. Glug, glug. Next. Oh, the next one is one of my favorite Byredos, and this is Velvet Haze. Now this is coconut, hibiscus, bergamot, patchouli, tuberose, osmanthus, musk, cacao pod, ambrette, and cashmeran. And I don't get a lot of chocolate. I don't get a lot of tuberose either. And honestly, the coconut is there, but it's super light. Now hibiscus, let me tell you, I have stuck my nose in a lot of hibiscus flowers when I go to the Big Island. And every once in a while, I might have a hint of a bit of almost sweet spiciness or something. But I mean, I have got to absolutely shove my face into that thing to get anything. Most of them smell like nothing. So I just want to put that out there. I think in perfume, hibiscus, that's interpreted. Maybe they look at the flower and think, well, if it had an aroma, this might be what it would smell like. Because in real life, there ain't really any smell at all. So, sorry. This, to me, is just a beautiful, almost leathery patchouli with a little bit of sweetness to it and a little bit of spice. It is divine. If you like, what is it, Bruno Acampora's musk, but want a little less bite to it, you might like Velvet Haze. I like this one actually more than Bruno's, and I adore Bruno's musk. But this one is like, what? Oh, it's gorgeous. And I have a review of this out there too. It's very unisex. It's very earthy. It's pretty patchouli dominant, at least at the top. But once it dries down a little bit, you do get some of the osmanthus, the cashmeran, the ambrette, and it just warms it up and adds a little bit more sweetness to it. And it's not real sweet at the beginning. It does get a little sweeter in the dry down. Very unisex, fabulous stuff. One of my favorite Byredos. Velvet Haze. Next. Oh. The next one is still my favorite kerosene. I can't get past Unknown Pleasures. I just can't. I can't. I've tried. I can't. One of my favorite gourmands of all time. Again, I'm going to just say it. To me, it smells like, I'm going to get it this time, the first time, a sugar cone that you put ice cream into. That's what it smells like. That taste. At the very top, you get, oh, here, let me tell you what's in it. Lemon, caramel, vanilla, tea, bergamot, tonka, and honey. It's got just almost a hint of gingerbreadness in there, a hint of coconut in there. And neither one of those are listed on Fragrantica, but I totally get that. I'm wacko over this perfume. And I have the original bottle. I'd prefer to keep it that way because I love this bottle. Anyway, always such good stuff. It is still my favorite kerosene. And there's a lot that have come close, but none of them quite can grab the title from Unknown Pleasures. Love it. Unisex beauty. Next one is from my fragrant goddess, Hilde Soliani, and this is Orgasmo. Oh, this is just amaretto and almonds. But the amaretto has almost a cherry vibe to it. Not urinal cake cherry or cough syrup cherry or any of that. Ew, I don't like that. But this is almost like a sweet and sour cherry. And I know that's from the amaretto. I used to be a bartender years back and served a lot of amaretto. And it has that almost sweet almondy cherryness to it. It's gorge. This is no exception. It's amazing. This is one of my favorites from Hilde. Oh my God, out of 30 bottles, I bet you I could say that about most of them. Oh, it's so good. Her perfumes are always original. Her prices are mid-range, really good for the juice. She can master a perfume with just the fewest amount of notes. It just boggles my mind. And I just love Orgasmo. Oh, ma. Unisex. I say that right. Anyway, yum. Next. The next one is Lost Cherry by Tom Ford. He's kind of the antithesis of Hilde Soliani because he puts 1,000 notes into a perfume, but he still can make a really good perfume with all of that. This is sour cherry, bitter almond, liquor or liqueur, plum, rose, jasmine, tonka, Peru balsam, vanilla, benzoin, cinnamon, sandalwood, cedar, cloves, vetiver, and patchouli. Oh. And this is just a beautiful, it's not a really sweet perfume, but it's a really warm cherry kind of a perfume. And it's not super boozy to me either. I don't get like a cherry liqueur out of this by any means. This is much warmer than that. You do get a bit of the almond. You definitely get the sour cherry. You not only get the sour cherry, but you do get some of that plum. It adds more depth to the cherry note. And the almond, the liqueur, the rose, and the jasmine, this really goes in those tiers, in those orders, top, adding to the middle notes, and then it all adds together in the base. You don't lose any of those notes through its journey. And in the dry down, it just gets richer. It gets more earthy, and that Peru balsam, that Peru balsam is amazing because I can smell it. Even though this is really well blended, I am really fixated on Peru balsam right now. So it's very unisex. Don't let the vulgar name fool you. It's totally unisex. And I adore it. It's one of my favorite cherry perfumes. I have a few, but this is probably number 3 of my favorites. So Tom Ford, Lost Cherry. Next. The next one is Sex Goddess by 4160 Tuesdays. Yeah, I've gone through 2 decants of this, and I just adore it. I still adore it. Oh my gosh, this is a sweet berry, slightly floral beauty. So this is black currant, plum, violet, rose, raspberry, lily, jasmine, musk, oak moss, and cedar. And it doesn't have a big, huge trajectory in its fragrant journey. It goes from that sweet berry, slightly floral opening that stays pretty much throughout the perfume. But then once it dries down, the cedar and the musk come in. Now, it's a slightly clean musk, not an animalic musk, but it's not a screechy white musk either. It's a warm musk. And it, along with that cedar, just blends so well with those berry notes and that slight floral smell, to where the sweetness goes from being just straight from the berries to almost sweet woods, like you're eating berries in the woods or something, because they become much more warm, much more depth to them. It's not super gourmand either. It is a little bit at the top. It's gorgeous. And nobody ever talks about it. I don't know why. Oh, I adore it. So I've done a review on this too. So that's 4160 Tuesday's Sex Goddess. Next. The last one is by Bond Number 9, and this is I Love New York for Holidays. Look at the color on the bottle. So this one, I didn't care that much for at first. It's one of those that I bought it, I blind bought it, didn't care for it much, walked away, came back, whoo, I really liked it, wore it for a while, walked away because the season was over, and then came back to it again, went, well, and then walked away, and I've come back to it again, and now I like it again. So, go figure. See, to me, I swear there's plum in this, but Fragrantica doesn't have that listed. They have pomegranate, apricot, mandarin orange, nutmeg, freesia, fennel, praline, patchouli, musk, and leather. And I think it's the mandarin, the pomegranate, and the apricot combined that are kind of giving me this plum accord, because there's a hint of tartness to it, but it's still sweet. There's almost a hint of aromaticness to it. It almost starts blooming a little bit right after you spray it. Not this heavy thickness, but a real light, beautiful kind of a cloud I can smell rising right now. Oh, it's so pretty. So it's not super fruity though. Like I said, I do get that plum note, but it's also added with the spices like the nutmeg and the fennel. And the fennel isn't strong, and luckily neither is the freesia, because I'm not a big freesia fan. But the fennel is just light in the background, really light. Just adds a little bit of, just a hint of almost bite to it. And the nutmeg does the same kind of thing. It adds this little bit of you know, that bite like cinnamon can have. Just a hint, just enough to give it a little, ooh, I like that. That's different. I got to smell more. You know, it's not like, oh, yeah, smelled that before. This one is more interesting than that. So then in the dry down, I don't really get the praline ever, but the patchouli and the leather and the musk a little bit, not much. It's mostly the patchouli and the leather that kick in and really give this thing a base in order to blast off from. A good performer for me, really good performer. I adore it now. I kind of go back and forth, like I said, but this is one I'm going to be wearing this winter. I really, really am digging it again, and very unisex. I don't know if you can still get this one. I think you can, but and look at the bottle. It's like purplish blue. It's gorgeous. Oh, all right. Well, that was it for my first top 10 Storytime perfumes. And if I go through some other perfumes and am able to come up with another list, I'll do that. So it's kind of fun to have a huge variety of perfumes in a list. that normally wouldn't be together. So that's why I did it. All right, well, that's it for me. Thank you so much for being here, and I wish you all a very safe and happy holiday season, whatever that looks like, whatever you celebrate and how you celebrate it. I hope it's safe, and I hope you have the happiest one you possibly can in the year of 2020. Don't forget to like and subscribe and ring the bell and comment if you want. If you don't, it's all good. I still love you. Use your own nose. Peace.